In this video, we'll look at matrix multiplication. So far, when we've multiplied arrays together, we've done it element by element and said they had to be the same size. What's different now is that we're going to multiply matrix-wise, which is something you may have seen in linear algebra if you've taken that class. If not, that's okay. It's very simple. In fact, MATLAB's going to do all the work for us. So let me paste in the definition here. Matrix multiplication is all about dot product. We're going to take the dot product of the row of one matrix with the column from the other, and we'll take all possible combinations of rows and columns and dot product them all together. The result of each dot product becomes an entry in the product matrix. So let's take a look at how this might work. And let me specify first the number of columns in the first matrix must match the number of rows in the second. And we'll get some examples of how this all works. So let's make a matrix. Let's call it capital E, and we'll have multiple rows here. 1, 2, -3, semicolon because I want to start a new row. 4, -5, and 6. I don't need to see this. Actually, let's look at it real quick. Let's run it and see it after all. It is a, oh, I'm still in format bank, by the way, which you might be. Let's go back to format short. Okay, so you can see that this is 2 rows, 3 columns, and I said the number of columns in the first matrix, which is 3 for us, must be the same as the number of rows in the second. So I need a matrix with 2 rows. But let's not be boring and have it be 3 columns again. Let's have it be different. So let's make it have 4 instead. 7, 11, 3, 4, 4, 3. 2 rows. Is that the right number? Well, I said 3, right? The other one has 3 columns, so I need 3 rows here. I might have misspoke a minute ago, sorry. The number of rows from the second, which is 3, must match the number of columns from the first. Run section. So there's an easy way to remember this, which I will show you. This is a 2 by 3 matrix, and this is a 3 by 4 matrix. And what we get when we multiply sizes of matrices, if we have a 2 by 3 and we're multiplying by a 3 by 4, notice the inner numbers have to match. So the 3's have to match. And actually we can tell what we're going to get as a result. We will get a 2 by 4 matrix result. So imagine those 3's in the middle go away and we get a 2 by 4 matrix. That's how we can figure out the size of the product we're going to get. So let's multiply E times F and save that as a variable. We get E times F. Notice I'm not using that little period to be a dot multiply anymore. That's what we did when we wanted it to be element by element. Run this section. I get, as anticipated, a 2 by 4 matrix. So this number is the dot product of the first row of matrix 1, E, with the first column of matrix F. Dot product those together, it goes right here. Go down a row, first column, dot product, and it goes here. Second row, first column. Second column, first row is the result of the first row of one and the second column of the other, and so on. So there's a lot of great videos about matrix multiplication if this is new to you, but you don't really need to understand as much as you might think. It's because MATLAB is doing the hard work for us. Just accept that this is a type of multiplication that produces a matrix as the result. All right, and let's see if we get the same thing when we multiply in the other direction. So let me say result is a 2 by 4 matrix. What happens if we say multiply F times E and do F times E? I'm going to suppress these other ones. I don't need to see them anymore. And run the section. We get an error. That's because you can't take, this is a 3 by 4 matrix times a 2 by 3. Look at those inner numbers. They do not match. So MATLAB is trying to help me out if you need to see a little more. Error using multiplication matrix multiplication must agree. So it's giving me some tips. Check that the number of columns, blah, blah, blah. Exactly what we said. All right, let's do something a little different. Let's use a square matrix. Square matrix multiplication. The nice thing about square matrices, if you have a 3 by 3 times a 3 by 3, you get a 3 by 3. So you always are going to end up with the same size, which is kind of cool. Let's do a real simple square matrix. 3 and -4 and 5 and 2. So what's that? A 2 by 2 matrix. If I then do G times G, I get another 2 by 2 matrix. By the way, there's another name for G times G, which is G squared. So notice I'm not using that period anymore. Recall, dot exponent is for element by element squaring. And that's not what we're doing. We're taking matrix times a matrix using matrix multiplication. Okay, so let's look at that real quick. Oh, we get the same thing when we do G times G or G squared. Let's look at what G dot exponent 2 is real quick, just to confirm that they're different. That's where we take each element from G and square it individually. Okay, we can see the difference. In our next video, we'll look at some other things you can do with matrices like inverses. See you then.